What's up, everyone? Today I'm going to talk about when you should use Next.js and when you shouldn't. While Next.js is extremely popular today, it doesn't always make sense to use it in every context. Let's start with when you should use it. Next.js shines in cases where you need server-side rendering, static site generation, and other built-in features that benefit your project's needs. Knowing what you want your project to do before getting started will help inform your decision if you should use Next.js, some other framework, or another language altogether. For example, Next.js comes in handy if you're creating a blog, news, or documentation site, really anything with a lot of content. Since Next.js can pre-render pages for speed and other SEO considerations, it's a natural choice for these kinds of websites. Next.js isn't the only static site generator out there, so if you're more comfortable or well-versed in another framework or language, don't feel like you need to jump ship just for that feature. However, Next.js offers incremental static regeneration, or ISR, which will let you refresh your static HTML at runtime without having to rebuild the whole site. Some site generators require you to rebuild your site to update, add, or delete content, which may not be a deal breaker for sites with only a handful of pages. The larger a site gets, though, the more cumbersome this gets. If you want an easy way to optimize images without serving them through an external CDN, Next.js offers image optimization with their image component. This component helps you serve images that are responsively sized and loaded lazily if you choose. You don't need to host your site on Vercel to get the benefits of the image optimization either. Marketing websites and landing pages also benefit from the same key Next.js concepts. With the file-based router, you can easily spin up new landing pages that allow for personalization or A/B testing easily. The bottom line is this: if you have a content site that will benefit from SEO and caching, Next.js can help you with that. Next.js is also useful in e-commerce platforms. These typically need high performance and dynamic content, both of which are areas Next.js excels. Product information can be kept up to date with ISR while still being statically generated for performance. You can use server-side rendering, or SSR, to fetch data for dynamic pages like shopping carts or search results while keeping inventory numbers fresh and adding personalization. Need specific routes for checking out, integrating with Stripe, or accepting form submissions? Next.js offers API routes that handle all this backend logic without needing another server. Next.js can also be useful if you're building a React-based SaaS product or web app like a dashboard that could benefit from some pre-rendering of static content but still needs a lot of interactivity and dynamic content. A project like this may primarily use plain React for its main functionality, but Next.js can help you build the public-facing side of the product. Not only that, you can use Next.js to handle your login flow for the app, form submissions, and even provide a foundation for the app itself. If you're finding this content helpful, please take a moment to make sure you're subscribed to my channel. Don't forget to also give this video a thumbs up so it can reach more people and facilitate the growth of this channel. Thank you for your support. Now, let's talk about when you shouldn't use Next.js. As I mentioned earlier, Next.js is not ideal for every project. In fact, for some use cases, it can be too heavy or overly complicated. Perhaps the most obvious reason to avoid Next.js is if you want to supplement an existing framework that's already in place or pair it with a non-React tech stack. It's likely too much work and not worth adding Next.js in addition to another framework like React Remix or Gatsby, and it would be just incompatible to try adding Next.js to an Angular or a Vue project. In other words, don't try to mix technologies unless you're ripping and replacing. Otherwise, you're just going to experience headaches. Not every project needs to be rendered on the server. Some projects, like standalone React apps, don't have SEO or speed considerations and, therefore, have less of a need for SSR. Examples of this would be something like an internal tool or bespoke back-office application that will only be used by logged-in users. Another example would be a highly interactive app like Figma or Canva, which are predominantly client-side rendered. In these cases, if you're going to use React, you would be better suited to use a simpler React setup. You probably could use Next.js for these projects, but you probably shouldn't. If you're building a simple brochure site that only has a couple of small static pages, Next.js is likely overkill. Again, you could use Next.js to create a completely static site, but at that point, you're not using any of the features that truly make Next.js useful. Such a heavy solution would surely slow you down, especially for a handful of pages. A lightweight static site generator like Astro or 11t would be better tools for this job. Even plain HTML, CSS, and JavaScript would be better than Next.js for a project like that. There is simply nothing to gain from using Next.js in this case. Hopefully this video helped you decide if Next.js is right for you and your next project. Next.js is just one tool in your toolbox. It's important to always analyze what you want your project to do before selecting the correct tool for the job. If you found this video helpful, please like it and share it with others who might also find it useful. Check to make sure you're subscribed to my channel and receiving notifications so you never miss when I release more content about Next.js, Payload CMS, Tailwind, CSS, and more. If you have suggestions or questions, please leave those in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, I'll see you on the next one.